Greetings, friends. You're watching Conflict Update. Today, we'll discuss the situation in Ukraine as of the 18th of August, 2025. Today has brought numerous significant developments, but the most crucial event is still ahead of us. We're referring, of course, to the meeting between the President of the United States and President Zelensky, scheduled to take place today in Washington, the capital of the United States. The Washington Summit. According to Donald Trump's official schedule published on the government website, the meeting with Zelensky is set for 1 p.m. American time, converting to Kyiv or Moscow time, that's 8 p.m. Approximately 15 minutes will be allocated for Trump to greet Zelensky, possibly making some comments regarding appearance and protocol. It's quite interesting to speculate what Zelensky will wear this time. Will he arrive in a business suit or once again in military fatigues? Some observers predict Zelensky will opt for formal attire, while others suggest his stubborn nature means he'll likely enter the Oval Office in military dress once more. Interestingly, today, American officials are sending messages to Ukrainians through Western press, essentially asking, "What will you be wearing today?" Apparently, this remains a surprise even for the Americans. After greetings conclude and any mutual commentary or subtle jabs are exchanged, the U.S. President and President Zelensky will proceed to a private meeting room for their bilateral, face-to-face discussion. Just the two of them, no representatives from Western nations. This meeting is scheduled to last exactly 1 hour, beginning at 8:15 and concluding at 9:15. At 9:15, European leaders will arrive. Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom; Macron, President of France; Merz, Chancellor of Germany; the Finnish President, and other officials including Italy's Prime Minister. A substantial number of them will gather, all arriving around 9:15, followed by a photo session lasting approximately 15 minutes. Actually, it will extend to a full 30 minutes. At least half an hour will be dedicated to photographing all participants, and at 10 p.m. Moscow-Kyiv time, negotiations will begin in this expanded format. Once all European politicians join Zelensky, feeling more comfortable and secure in numbers, they will likely begin pressing Trump more aggressively. Sources indicate the primary objective facing European nations today is obtaining clear understanding of how Americans plan to ensure Ukraine's security. This is the most critical question. Security guarantees and key conditions. We understand that the Russian Federation has rejected any proposals from European countries regarding their participation in Ukraine's security guarantees. From Russia's perspective, only a few nations worldwide can provide genuine guarantees to Ukraine: the United States and the Russian Federation itself. Europeans will attempt to understand Trump's plans for this arrangement. Both the Ukrainian leader and European heads of state will likely base their positions on whatever proposals the president presents. Trump has stated that today presents Zelensky with the most important choice of his leadership, the most crucial decision. He must say yes or no, today, specifically today. Either the war can end very soon if Zelensky makes the right decision, or he'll make the wrong choice and the conflict will continue. However, he must clearly understand that regardless of his decision, yes or no, certain things in this world cannot be changed. This primarily concerns Crimea's return and NATO membership. For Trump, under any circumstances and regardless of developments, these two issues remain unchangeable for both the USA and the Russian Federation. It's difficult to say whether we can consider this the first official U.S. recognition of Crimea as part of the Russian Federation. It's premature to conclude definitively, but likely this comment will soon be interpreted exactly that way by most political experts. Ukrainian media response. It's challenging to predict Zelensky's actions. He expresses his opinions quite subtly. However, examining what Ukrainian media and pro-Ukrainian sources are currently emphasizing, we can observe several interesting articles published in the last 24 hours. Today, Ukrainian cartographers and experts claim that since November 2022, when the Ukrainian Kharkiv counteroffensive ended, plus territorial adjustments in the Kherson region, Russian forces have taken control of less than 1% of territory. From the 12th of November 2022 to the 18th of August 2025, 3 years of conflict, Russia has captured less than 1% of Ukrainian territory. We can see pro-Ukrainian sources attempting to demonstrate to Ukrainian society and the international community that things aren't actually that dire. Yes, the war continues with high casualties, but regarding territorial changes and map corrections on the ground, Russia's progress appears quite limited. Another interesting article published in Ukrainian media discusses a missile called Flamingo. Ukrainian sources claim its operational range reaches 3,000 kilometers. Reports suggest Ukraine may demonstrate this missile soon. Again, this article, published by numerous reliable pro-Ukrainian sources popular in Ukraine and government-aligned outlets, suggests Ukraine is hinting that the most interesting developments in this conflict are still ahead. They're implying that, in essence, nothing has truly begun yet. And of course, there are Zelensky's own words stating that Ukraine's constitution doesn't permit territorial concessions or map adjustments. Despite the Trump-Zelensky meeting not yet beginning, we observe Ukrainian media and sources advocating for continued combat operations, not stopping the war, but rather escalating the situation beyond what we're currently witnessing. What decision will be reached at 10 p.m. in Washington? We'll learn at 10 p.m. Washington time or later during the press conference. For now, we work with the information available to us. Frontline developments. Let's now turn to the line of contact, beginning with the Zaporizhzhia front sector. Zaporizhzhia sector. Syrsky continues warning Ukrainians and the Western community that Russian forces plan to launch a major offensive in the Zaporizhzhia direction toward Orakov in the near future, possibly toward Orakov city itself. Currently, there's no confirmation or objective control footage. The only evidence from the past day shows several clips of Russian tanks moving south of settlements like Molotokmachka, Novodonlivka, and Orakov, with heavy equipment. Based on these clips, we're making modest territorial adjustments. There's confirmation of Russian unit advancement, but all this equipment currently operates exclusively in the gray zone. It's unclear whether this gray zone will remain contested after the next push. Therefore, discussing possible offensive seems premature. Perhaps Syrsky is simply trying to heighten public attention before negotiations begin. South Donetsk direction. Moving to the South Donetsk direction, where Russian forces gradually continue their advance, infiltrating between forest strips and approaching various small villages. Today, pro-Ukrainian cartographers are making small territorial markings that other cartographers applied to their maps long ago. We're also receiving several geolocations of FPV drone strikes against Ukrainian equipment, positioned along routes toward Pokrovsky settlement. More sources indicate that if Zelensky refuses today's Russian-American proposal, there's high probability that Russian forces will indeed begin a Zaporizhzhia offensive, not only from the south toward Orakov, but also from the east toward settlements like Huliaipol and Pokrovsky. Pokrovsk agglomeration. Continuing toward the Pokrovsk agglomeration, where combat operations persist on both southwestern and northeastern flanks. Regarding the southwestern direction, main combat operations are currently unfolding in Udakny settlement. We continue receiving objective control footage published by Ukrainian forces, confirming complete Russian army control over the southern portion of the settlement. Battles continue for the northern section, where Russian forces haven't yet established firm positions. However, everything could change after 10 p.m. on the 18th of August, 2025. For the northeastern flank, battles apparently continue for settlements like Zoloty Kolodets and Veselo. Today, additional objective control footage was published, showing combat between the 79th VSU Brigade and Russian units in Zoloty Kolodets territory. These clips confirm once again that Russian reconnaissance and possibly other units successfully reached and established positions in this settlement over recent days. However, these clips show direct VSU counterstrikes. Zoloty Kolodets settlement was already marked yesterday based on other objective control footage showing Ukrainian flags raised in the settlement territory. Today, we're receiving what appears to be footage echoing combat operations from the past 5 to 6 days. We're also receiving clips from Veselo settlement, published by other units from the 93rd Brigade, showing combat actions and points confirming Russian unit presence in various areas of the settlement. Combat tactics analysis. What deserves attention? During this counteroffensive, Russian forces employed tactics using small reconnaissance sabotage groups that gradually infiltrated deeper, capturing positions and bypassing others. This created numerous problems for Ukrainian units defending this front sector. However, when Ukrainian forces launched their counteroffensive, most counterstrikes, according to objective control footage, were executed exclusively using robotic systems. We didn't observe direct contact, assaults, or counterstrikes performed by Ukrainian infantry. Instead, we witnessed numerous episodes of robotic systems equipped with mounted machine guns operating against Russian reconnaissance group positions. Only after preliminary area clearing by artillery, FPV drones, and robotic systems did Ukrainian assault troops enter villages for final clearing operations. This represents very interesting tactical development. Most importantly, Russian command apparently gained unprecedented experience in combat operations with robotic systems, something entirely new. This isn't simply isolated use of individual robotic systems in specific directions. This represents comprehensive, integrated use, possibly organized groups of 10 to 15 robotic systems conducting area clearing operations. This provides crucial experience and answers to questions that perhaps weren't even previously asked. Other sectors. Konstantinovka sector. Today, the line of contact remains unchanged. The difficult situation for VSU units continues developing south of the Kleban BYK reservoir. Russian forces strike VSU positions while controlling all evacuation routes, but the front line appears frozen. The most interesting information today comes directly from Konstantinovka settlement itself. Several independent sources reported that over the past 24 to 48 hours, Russian forces managed to breach Ukrainian armed forces' defenses southeast of Konstantinovka and enter the city territory. It's difficult to assess this information's accuracy, whether we're discussing saboteurs or assault troops. However, according to some sources, Russian units possibly established positions along these approximate routes over the past 48 hours. There's no footage confirming this information, so we await additional details. Perhaps we'll receive more information and footage after 10 p.m. tonight, following the Zelensky-Trump meeting. Something more large-scale and significant than what we've observed recently might begin. Northern sector. Despite combat operations or their absence around Pokrovsk, offensive tempo continues. Russian forces gradually attempt to push through Ukrainian positions north and northwest of Seversk. Russian forces are maximally focused on Dranovka settlement, from where most military experts report Russian forces will plan to ford the Seversky Donets River toward Seversk's north and northwest. Combat operations continue with small corrections according to cartographers maintaining neutral perspectives on Ukraine's developing situation. Kupiansk sector. No changes here. Combat operations continue with Russian forces gradually advancing, but without significant breakthroughs. Strategic strikes resume. Very interesting information comes from Ukraine overall. After a lengthy pause, Russia resumed missile and drone strikes across Ukrainian territory. This morning, this map was published showing Russian forces struck eastern Ukraine over the past day using at least 5 Iskander missiles. Some targeted Sumy, others Kharkiv, and some hit Pavlograd, a crucial Ukrainian logistics hub. This footage comes from Kharkiv territory today. Sources report, the video's author states, that strikes on this building were conducted exclusively with drone. We can see Russia possesses sufficiently powerful drones capable of destroying entire floors with several strikes. Strikes also targeted Odessa's settlement. Most experts and political analysts report that strikes hit oil processing facilities that were built, owned, or somehow utilized by pro-Azerbaijani companies. This apparently reflects traces of recent tensions between Azerbaijan's leadership and the Russian Federation. Closing statement. That concludes today's update, dear friends. Conflict Update reminds you that we condemn all violence worldwide and call upon all parties to begin immediate negotiations to resolve all problems through diplomatic means. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, leave your likes, and take care.